to you live because I want to speak a little bit about what happened in this documentary series. It's the vanishing of at the Cecil Hotel, uh, and it's called Crime Scene, and it's about the disappearance of Elisa Lam and the story that unfolds. Um, as we're here, just going live, and everything is copacetic. I am live to both Twitch. Dan Victor does on Twitch. Is Dan Victor Productions. Please like and subscribe. Also on Facebook. I'm just checking to make sure that my Facebook is going live, and then we can get started on the discussion. Yes, it looks like we are. There we go. Excellent. So thank you for joining. Um, I thought it was a really great opportunity to talk about something that is difficult, and it's easier if there's something people can kind of hook into. Netflix really does a great job of talking about mental illness, but so just to say, there are some spoilers. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's been a very popular thing, so I thought it would be a great opportunity. Maybe other people wanted to talk about it too. Um, so Lisa Lamb, basically the gist is that she goes to this hotel in LA. It's on Skid Row. It's kind of a seedy hotel, and she goes missing. And the reason why I think it got a lot of attention was somebody picked up on it online. They there were a lot of these internet sleuths. They thought that they could go ahead and solve this crime. There turned out to be a lot of pressure, not just from the media, but from these people online. And as a result, these things unfolded. So, okay, so there's that. Um, I my feelings on it are that it does a good job of pulling you in, but I was actually more pulled in once I found out that um, Elisa was bipolar. That's something that I can relate to, and the the realization that these people had, or the disbelief that this had to be some sort of nefarious, there had to be some murder involved, there had to be foul play. It wasn't something that was, we didn't want to explain it away. It was somehow somebody was responsible for it. And I think people got caught up more in the idea that there's some sort of conspiracy, and I want there to be something that's outrageous and something to be mad about almost. And I think that's the real piece of this that I want to touch on, this and the tragedy of what happened to her too. At the outcome, and this is a bit of a spoiler, you find out that she was bipolar, and she went off of her meds. She's also very young. She's 21, and she wrote about it extensively on her blog. So there's a lot of people that I think this story can, you know, one, sort of bring attention to it, and they don't really address the stigma aspect of it. It's like, yes, we're bringing attention to it, but what are you saying about people with mental illness? What are you saying about the value of human life? Because they also throw into the mix, the homelessness, and how that is just right on the edge of that. And there are people who are sleeping in the street right outside next door that are, going through these same psychotic episodes and dying as a result of maybe not being medicated, not having the proper care, not having the attention that they need. uh, or do they deserve? And I mean, it's such a huge issue and huge problem, in my eyes, because it's something that directly relates to me. But the thing is that there was a lot of damage done because there was a suspicion. They were like in looking for someone to blame. These internet sleuths singled out this one guy who was a musician, went by the name of Morbid, and he's a death metal guy. And because he had stayed, there was a video of him staying. These people who are doing these internet sleuthing, spending all these hours, going over every detail of this case to think it's like, okay, there's some ego in that, well, they could solve it or get views by talking about it because it was trending, which, is, sort of the reason to talk about something for sure. But what is it? Is it causing drama for drama's sake? And then you have a lot of these people who are ending up attacking this guy who is a musician and an artist. And you come to find out that as a result of this intense cyberbullying, all of his accounts were deleted because people flagged them. There was so much hate mail and things going towards him. You find out, like, he does an interview and piece of this, and he ended up going through and having an attempted suicide because of what had happened. And this is all the result of something not being, and again, like, I don't want to put one thing in front of the other, but this is a disbelief of somebody's not paying attention to the importance of somebody's seriousness of their mental condition. And this person, Elisa, wasn't taking her medication. Um, and that's not something that's uncommon. Again, it's like, well, hey, maybe she should have been taking her medication. Well, listen, there is a certain nature to mental illness that is where compassion needs to come in terms of trying to understand it. And I I get that people who don't have to deal with this maybe don't want to deal with it because they're not particularly invested. But I will argue to say that most people have at least one person in their life who has experienced some sort of intense depression, some sort of episode, something that has gotten them in trouble, or something that they're suffering through currently, because this is a disease. I'm talking about mental illness because she was specifically bipolar, something that I deal with. And we say have bipolar disorder. It's a disease. We are not the disease. So, people who suffer from mental illness oftentimes do not get the help that they need because people don't believe that it can be a mental illness. It's got to be something that they're not doing. They can somehow snap out of it. That's something you hear a lot. Why can't you just snap out of it? And it's not something of will. It's not even a matter of just taking medication. It's a matter of years of discipline and learning how to manage an illness. And just because it's mental illness, something that you can't see, it doesn't mean that it's not something that can't be treated. But it does take understanding, and it does take a lot more. It takes a certain amount of something that people are not being given, and then they're being punished on top of that. And it's the same kind of thing that I see with a lot of people who are homeless, are experiencing mental disorders. And it's not just one thing, and it's not just so simple to just put it that way, but they're going through distress and they need help. I mean, I believe that if people, it is society's obligation to help those who cannot help themselves. And what this situation is it kind of shines a light on a larger problem. And it doesn't really highlight it talks a little bit about the history of Skid Row. It talks a little bit about the history of LA. One of the things it touches on is how progress, where you have a lot of people who are in the real estate game, you have a lot of gentrification happening. We want to clean up the streets. Cleaning up the streets, what does that mean? Does that mean, hey, we're going to fix everything nice so that the people who live there can enjoy that fixing up? No, what it means is we're going to bring money in, fix it so that we can up the price, so that we can make a profit and capitalize on us getting this really cheap rent or cheap property, and exploiting the people, getting those people. We don't care what happens to those people. We just got to clean it up. So that's another issue that I think goes hand in hand. And what's the common thread here? the common thread is that there's a lot of harm because one, people are not aware, and it's like there's an awareness, but then there's also like once you have that awareness, what do you do with it, right? So that awareness sort of is one thing, and I think they say in terms of changing behavior, what is the first thing is you have to be aware it's actually happening. Then the second thing you have to do, and this is also dealing with mental cognitive behavioral therapy, or how you deal with manage these things is then you have to witness yourself doing it. Like you have to say, okay, well, I I am aware that I do this, but I'm not aware when it's happening. I know after the fact. And that's something that usually happens when you're just realizing that you have some sort of going on. It's like, oh, I'm feeling down, right? But it's not just feeling down, it's a result of decisions that you make, it's the outcome of how your brain function is being affected. And after the fact, there is like what I call instant regret. That instant regret happens as a result of doing something you did not intend, and it's not through any fault. And then people are looking to blame, and it's not. It makes somebody right or wrong, and if you're right and wrong, then you can rectify it or you can seek some sort of justice. But that's not the case here, and that's just not the way it works. And I think what we're coming to realize is that life is not some movie where there's good people and bad people and there's a good guy and a bad guy, and to get the to do good is to get the bad guy, take them out of the equation, then everybody lives happily ever after. That's not the way life works. And I think there is some fantasy that we're sold, that this society is invested in, that if we can just get the bad guy, then then everything is all right. But they do touch on this thing with Elisa's family, is like they're the ones suffering. And how much attention is going to saying, hey, family really needs some love and care and sympathy, because they're the ones that are going through the pain, probably, most, and they've had to experience what she's gone through, and they don't even touch on the fact. They're saying, well, how is the circumstance was she's found um in the water tank, which is really chilling, and no pun intended, where she was found. The circumstances were, it was, a lid, there wasn't a lid on, but they kind of, put together, the police, after some time, and under duress by the public to the media. This is also a case of how media impacts perception, and the concept of propaganda exists very heavily today. And I'm not going to go into the other aspects of it, but like in this specific situation, there is a lot of media, how it affects the people who are receiving that information. They take this information, and again, it's not about placing blame, it's about understanding how information jumps from one person to the next. You're taking this person's understanding, that's getting it from this news source, that's sensationalizing it for the purpose. And this is where I think, I don't want to say the sin, but like this is where the trouble comes in. Is like, well, we're just trying to do our job. We're reporting the news. Okay, you're reporting the news, but what is it that you're actually reporting? You're reporting something, and you're saying, okay, well, we're not going to hit all the facts, but we're going to hit some of the facts here. Some of the facts are that you are um, you are leaving out certain uh, pertinent details, for the fact that this is what's making it trending. This is what's getting people to watch more and more. We're getting you addicted to the information that we're giving you, because we're choosing to shape it a certain way. We're omitting certain details, we're highlighting certain facts, we're using certain words to get you interested, to pique your interest. And it's like saying, okay, well, you're piquing the interest of what is the nature of being human, saying, well, this is what people like and this is what people want to see. We're giving the people what they want. So we're giving them people of something that's sensational, something that is nefarious. There's some wrongdoing here that needs to be rectified. And so you have people hearing this, you have people hearing this, And those people are saying, wow, well, this is really wrong. What can we do about it? They're feeling powerless and saying, all I'm seeing is that this girl's gone missing. There's this video of her in the elevator. And that I think is where they sell a lot of the show, is that it's really creepy and it looks like a horror movie, and it represents it's reminiscent of this movie called Dark Water. That was a movie, and it's like, the news really likes to do this stuff, and it's harmful, and they're just saying they're doing their job. Then you have the people getting their information, and they're saying, what can I do? We're not able to do anything about it, so we're gonna go online and we're gonna post about it. So you start this community, and we gotta do something. We gotta champion these people, this woman, because she can't champion herself. She's not around anymore. What can we do? We gotta right this wrong. And I'm like, how arrogant is that, to right some wrong? And the way in which we're going to do that is, no, no, we're not going to bring awareness to the fact of, hey, man, we need to be more compassionate about our fellow human being. What we're going to do is we're going to say that the hotel was at fault. And we're going to say, we're not going to go into an in-depth investigation of the existential crisis and, the all of the areas that are wrong in our society. We can't fix those, but we're going to fix this. So, I'm throwing a little sarcasm on this. But we have, uh, I don't know what our personal obligation is, but the effect of our actions, you know, started saying, okay, and looking at the blame, we're blaming the hotel. Then we're, okay, it must have been a murder. So who murdered her? It couldn't be something else. It had to be a murder because of all of these things. And there were people who actually traveled to the hotel, took their own video, and were seriously invested in this. It's really it's interesting. It piqued my interest for a little while, and then when I started getting interested, it's like seeing how people reacted to this information. And then the biggest issue I had is about how they attacked this musician, and they actually interview him and see how he was affected, and he talks about how he tried to kill himself and ended up in a psychiatric institution. And the whole thing is tragedy all around. And it's like people want to make a big deal about things, and I see people, and this is my perception, this is my observation, it's not a judgment on anyone else, but it is sort of a thing where I see people make themselves more upset about a thing, or appear more upset about a thing, in an effort, and I don't know, I'm just guessing at it, but to maybe seem somehow important, or feel as though this, I can't pull it apart, but I've seen this behavior before, and it's like, I can't tell you what you really care about, but I can tell that it's more important that you say that this thing is wrong than to really care about the people that are involved in it. And this person, this musician, hasn't been able to make music since this whole situation happened. He had never seen this person before. He was the only reason that anybody even talked about it was because of the music. I mean, and it was some dark music, granted. And he happened to be at the hotel, so there were some circumstances that were something, but these people were convinced that he did this thing, and he wasn't even in the country at the time that this murder happened, or this murder. It's even me saying it. There was no murder. There was no murder. She was having an out. And after you see all the facts, and after you hear everything that happened, you understand that it's really sad. But she went on her own. She didn't have the support, um, and she was far from her family. Her family. She was from Vancouver, I think, Canada, and she was in LA. And maybe the place had a lot of bad energy. Um, you had the guy Morbid. He was there a year before she was, and he took her there, and that was it. He was in Mexico at the time when he's recording an album, when it was when that situation happened. Um, I just don't know. I don't know how people are supposed to behave, because I know that my, and then you see, think about your own behavior and how I have to be compassionate, because we all make mistakes, and some of our mistakes have dire outcomes, and sometimes it's just luck of the draw. Uh, but you know, instead of asking these people's family and going directly to source, and obviously, you don't want to ask people's family if you don't have any knowledge of them, but what right do you have to go and attack somebody that you think is a murderer based upon information on the internet, which isn't even real? And I have that question as I'm talking to you here, and I'm saying, well, what is it? What where are the boundaries, of what people hear from my message through via the machine, and I can only speak about my experiences, and my take, and how my take can impact people. And I try to realize that the words that we say have weight. The words that we say in person have weight, but also, there is a person at the other end of that email. There's a person at the other end of this, whoever's viewing it through this device. And, whatever we happen to say, we have to be careful. Um, not only just for other people, but for ourselves. There is a consequence to things that we say. Maybe we hurt a relationship. Maybe we help a relationship. Maybe we say something unconsciously just off the cuff. And, and again, it's like, I'm not trying to place blame or responsibility to an outcome based upon directly what our actions, but we just understand that what we say has weight. What we do has impact. And with that knowledge, you try to say, well, what is the most good that I can do with the time that I have? And I know I've been in some dark places. I know that I've experienced and understand that there isn't enough knowledge about mental illness in the general public for people that have not experienced that either themselves or with somebody who they've been close with. A lot of people are scared by it. They don't understand it. They think people who have mental illness are people that they need to keep their distance from. And the truth is that when somebody's going through an episode, it is scary, and that is the time in which people need help. They don't need to be feared. What they definitely need proper attention. They can definitely be a danger to themselves. But oftentimes when people hear that they can be a danger to themselves or others, they automatically switch from being compassionate to being somehow, well, I got to make sure that this bad person, this crazy person, and that word um, is very is very wrong for people to say, to call crazy. That's not right, and it's not accurate, and it is offensive. And I think that's, if in this world we're trying to be more conscious of people's gender, we're conscious of race, we're conscious of belief, we're conscious of religion, we're conscious of all of these things, and how to respect those things. We should also be conscious of people's uh disabilities, and you don't choose to be born with a mental or chemical imbalance. It's anybody can, any place, any person in any part of the world. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your family is like. It is the luck of the draw. I mean, there are people that it runs in the family, and some people can get it and some people can't. It's not the fault of the parents' upbringing. It's not, there is no place to put blame. You can't even blame God. Although I have cursed God. I mean, I'm going to be honest, try to keep it a little light, but why God, why me? That's something I remember asking myself that question, why? And trying to understand why is about as pointless as trying to understand why the earth rotates or why gravity works the way it does. It just is. It just is. So once you understand that it's just something that happens, you understand that maybe there's some, how do I deal with it? That's the next thing. And then you're sort of left, well, I don't even know what it is. Like, what is it and how do I deal with this thing? And I think this girl, she was a talented girl. She was a talented writer. She, one of the last things she did was go to this bookstore called the Last Bookstore and get some books. And, you know, I think about the dimension of a human being and how we only know these little things, know about, say, a celebrity, you know, say like somebody like Prince, you know, him as a performer, but there's the dynamics of who he was as a person and the impact that he had as a, you know, like as a son, as a parent, as a role model, as a, you know, what was he in his faith? You know, these are all things that there's more to a person than their profile online. There's more to it than this video that I'm saying to you. There's a lot more. There is, you know, there's a whole story, and even that story can't be told because it's taken years to develop as whoever you are. You know, it's impossible for me to know all of the aspects of who you are, but with that knowledge, there's so much that we have to acknowledge that we don't know and leave room for that to exist as an unknown until we know it. So, forming beliefs and staunch opinions about things that we just don't understand fully is arrogant. It would be like easy for me to condemn you and say, hey, well, you're arrogant for not for being, you know, ignorant of this information. But I think people are genuinely, it is a pitfall of being human. So understanding that is also understanding yourself. And if we are gonna break these walls down about like how to, it's really more about how we're treating ourselves, because how we treat ourselves is often how we treat other people. It is a direct reflection of the internal struggle that we're going through, our external, you know, how we project that, you know. So anyway, I think this was a video. I don't want to keep it going too long because I see how long I've been going, and I want to keep it reasonably short. But I want to thank you for watching, and this is sort of I, my opinion of the series is that I'm glad it went in a direction that I didn't expect it to. I suggest watching it. I suggest learning more about mental illness if it's something that you're curious about, if it's something that you're suffering with. There is help available. It is not impossible. You are not alone. You are a beautiful person, just so that you know that. And I am too. We are great people, no matter who you are. You know, I genuinely believe that. We all have the potential to do harmful things, but we also have the potential to do wonderful, beautiful, compassionate things and create things that inspire others. And I think that that's what I want to spend my time doing, is doing things that inspire others to dig into their own lives and find, and as a result we end up doing good for others, and we have a desire to be there, and we have ability to. And that's the thing is, you know, there's a lot of my life that I haven't been able to be there for other people. You know, I haven't been able to be more available, and you know, I've judged myself harshly because I wasn't able to be the person that in my mind I thought I should have been at this point in time in my life, and XYZ and all the equations of supposed to's and what ifs. The truth of the matter is that when I'm as well as I can be, that's when I have the opportunity to do the most good. And in this moment, in this time, I was able to make this video so that I could share a little something that hopefully is a little bit helpful, that draws about a conclusion about a piece of media that I thought can be some, but also good and informative if we're taking it from the right perspective. Just as media can be taken one way or the other, we can be drawn in, we can be uh, shaped in the way we view things because of how the beliefs of the people who are making that piece of information. I think we have to be careful as artists in what we create because there is a responsibility there, not just to make things, but if we have an impact on an audience, we take that opportunity to have a respect for that power because it is a power. The power to influence people, the power to impact people, and we can choose to do that in a well-intentioned way or an ill-intentioned way. And from the bottom of my heart, I really hope that what I'm saying is positive and is informative and is helpful. So with that, my name is Dan Victor. This is Dan Victor Does and Mental Chillness. So if you like, please subscribe, like, share, all of the above. And I have a site, danvictordoes.com. You can go there and visit. I also do music. My stage name is Duct Tape Halo, and I have an album on Bandcamp available by the same name, Mental Chillness. And I have these songs to be able to talk about some of these issues and difficulties that I have had, my personal experience, to share my story of strength and hope, and be able to use it as a device to, one, entertain people, get people feeling good and inspired, but also talk about some difficult things. Some people do it with comedy. I like to do it with music and some in talking. I like to talk. Something I've always talked about. So danvictordoes.com. I have a store that you can go to, DVTs on Etsy. Any support that you like, I'd be really appreciative. But the best thing you can do is like, comment, subscribe, I like to smash that like button because this is on YouTube, it's on Twitch, it's on my Facebook page, and it's also on Twitter. I don't go on Twitter as much, but that's low profile band, and I just kind of have that available because I believe that it's important to be represented on that platform as well. Anyhow, I hope you have a great evening. Enjoy Netflix. I certainly do. And be well. Take care now.